Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys are ready because we are about to bring the second semi-finals between these two teams. They've become a long way. Now it's Impunity Pixies up against Yangon Galaticos. I hope you guys are excited because the teams are already inside the draft. So let's just jump straight into it. There we go. Yangon Galaticos against Impunity Pixies. And Yangon Galaticos is going to be banning away the Atlas, while Pixies is going to be banning away the Valor. And obviously Valor does really well against Atlas, just because, you know, Atlas is one of those heroes where you really need the space needed to use his ultimate. He needs to reposition himself after using his second skill. So I think it's a pretty decent ban. You know, Atlas is still a really viable tank. Oh man, the sneeze is getting to me. Oh. And then after that we have a Kufra getting picked up as well. And I think the Kufra getting banned out shows how much Yangon Galaticos really respect Pixies' draft. If you watch what Pixies had, they really prioritize the Kufra pickup coming into matchups. Oh my. And then we also have the Claude getting banned out on the side of Impunity, so they don't really want to do anything with the Claude as well as the MMs. And then we got Galaticos obviously prioritizing the Uranus pick. Once the Valor gets banned out, you know, Uranus is open for business. And I'm sure the Pixies will go... Oops. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. But I'm sure the Pixies will actually go for the pickup on the Esmeralda. Although I'm not too sure whether or not they actually want to go for it, because it is still early into the draft now. You've got a Hylos getting picked up, and you can see despite the Uranus pick over there, it is still quite open. I'm not sure how they're going to go with it though. Because sooner or later the Esmeralda is going to get picked up, that's for sure, right? Just to do with the Uranus. We've already seen Pixies did it in yesterday's game against the Impunity Divas. So I'm really excited to see how Pixies will deal with it. And Galaticos already picked up the Granger as well as the Sicilian.
Your team is banning.
I think the pickup on the Diggy is still a really good pickup, although I'm not sure. Like, you can see they're prepping off the Esmeralda because to pick up the Diggy already, so even if the shield comes up, the Esmeralda will probably get banned out by Yangon Galaticos, while Pixies is probably gonna focus a lot more on prepping for the team fight. And it looks like they take out the Nutella, so they don't want anyone that can jump onto the backline against the Kimi or even the Diggy. So they're kind of preparing for this draft where Pixies can prep for the team fight available to them. They don't want anyone that can jump the backline. They don't want someone that can catch Kimi out of position. They also obviously do not want anyone that can kind of disrupt the team fight available, because you're gonna see the Hylos drop the Glorious Pathway, and what this does is that it allows Impunity to catch up to the heroes of Galaticos. They want to close the distance between them as well and the Granger as well as the Sicilian, because what you're gonna see now is Pixies having a lot of heroes that have near range potential with the Hylos, with the Leomon, and what they're trying to do is close that gap between the range of their skills as well as the Sicilian with the Bad Fist. You got Sicilian with the long range strikes, and then you also have Granger with the Death Sonata as well as the rest of these. So I think Pixies is trying to prep for that. They ban out the Nutella, Claude, two heroes that can jump the backline, and for Galaticos, I think the draft is centered around this Granger. What they try to do is pick up heroes that are tanky enough to be the front line, which is Uranus as well as Grog. And then what they have is a Jawhead that can go for the toss. They have someone that can go with the lockdown and then try try to essentially burst down whatever hero they can catch out. And yep, Pixies is finally going to pick up the last pickup, which is the Esmeralda, which is no surprises. So what I think Yangon Galaticos, their threat here is try to catch the Esmeralda out to a bad position or a bad team fight, and then after that, try to blow up whoever they can catch up. So I think in terms of drafting wise, Pixies do have that. I don't know. I think in terms of threat wise, I think Yangon Galaticos do have a better draft because of the Sicilian and the Granger, and the threat that they have the Jawhead to stick around. If anyone comes in, we'll just blow her up. Even if it's Esmeralda, we can just toss her up in the air. It doesn't really have to. We don't really have to worry too much. This is what I would say coming up from Yangon Galaticos. Whereas for Impunity Pixies side, they essentially want to deal with the Uranus first. They have to shred the Uranus down, because if the Uranus sticks around for too long in the fight, that could become a really big threat for Impunity Pixies.
Till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them. All troops deployed. Request backup. Request backup.
Gonna see Monica down onto the middle lane with the Sicilian. So on Yangon Galacticos side, we got Uranus getting played by Shiro, we got Monica on the Sicilian, Panda playing the Grog and K on the Granger, while Imiko is gonna be playing on the Jawhead. And we're gonna see our first team fight happen around here, and it's gonna be a contest for the blue buff. Yuri doing really well on the Kimi. Revitalize being popped. And that was definitely a good engagement for Impunity, because not only did they manage to secure their own blue buff, they also did not lose any rotation speed in terms of getting the farm up onto Kimi. But the only downside I would say of that is that Imiko did manage to get a couple of free hits onto Tower, who's already down to half HP. But not too much loss in that fight, I would say. A lot of Purifiers on the side of Yangon Galaticos. Look at that, 4 Purifiers. Just to deal with the Jawhead. Obviously, they do recognize the threat of Imiko, and essentially the win condition of Yangon Galaticos is to try to burst down whoever is in the front line. In this case, Jawhead is just gonna toss that person to the back line. They're gonna try to use Granger and Sicilian's potential burst damage potential to blow him up. And Impunity, the Pixies, they do recognize the threat. They're going for Purify. They're trying to stop that from happening. Meanwhile, top lane, Imiko is going to be pushing on with those missiles. And you can see Imiko has really good map awareness, right? She's obviously waiting, because 4 members on Puny and were missing at the point of time when she was pushing the top lane. And because of that, they just she's just doing a good job at making sure that she's not caught out position. And that rotation does allow Yangon Galaticos to pick up the tier 1 in the mid lane. A lot of items coming up for the side of Yangon Galaticos. Gugu gonna be summoning the steed, but just in range of the Bad Fist, which allows Monica to get that kill. That's gonna be the first blood for Yangon Galaticos. And we're gonna see the Uranus without the Leomon. Uranus is gonna be pushing down onto the bot lane. but the members of Impunity Pixies are already there. So both teams a tower apiece. However, Impunity are already working onto the turtle, which I feel like they should be able to get it, no issue there. Question is, what will they do with the follow-up? We're gonna spot Panda going right through. They're trying to bring Shiro down, and it will bring them to half HP. Panda being stopped by his own wall, and Shiro nearly going down, but now K joins the fray. The Death Sonata and the pullback coming in from the Sanguine Claws will allow them to get the high loss. But now Shiro sticking right onto Good. But Ruby's damage is just a little bit too much for them to deal with. And that's going to allow them to get the return kill. Meanwhile, top lane, Imiko getting shredded by Nora. Pretty sure Nora should have the easy kill here. Meanwhile, bottom lane Impunity Pixies have already taken tier 1 on the bottom lane. And once again, this is a similar tale to what we saw coming in from game number 3, I would say, of the game between the two semi-finalists just now, where, you know, Reborn had a really good draft in team fights, and this is what we are seeing coming up from Yangon Galaticos. Yes, in team fights, they have the upper hand because of the tankiness as well as the burst damage coming up from Cicilon and the Granger. But if you look at Impunity Pixies draft, they have really good split push because they have Asmar that they can deal with the Uranus as well as the Jawhead, and then you have Diggy that can provide the CC immunity when needed. They have the early game damage. He's got reverse time here that can pull someone back out of position, and they just have more team utility. Once again, Hylos the first one to go down. And Ruby in a bad position. However, that range will allow her to shred opponents while keeping in the distance. Good. Just blindly running forward. Gonna get easily taken out by the Granger. And I think what Impunity is trying to do here is leave the Esmeralda to deal with the Jawhead split push. Because essentially Esmeralda does really well against the Jawhead, and then they're gonna try to get the Kimi to farm up as much as possible to hyper carry this game. But like I said, when it comes down to a 5-on-5 fight, I feel like Yangon Galaticos just have too much damage. As long as they can keep the Esmeralda at bay, away from the Granger as well as the Cicilon, I feel like Yangon Galaticos should have a good shot at team fights.
Request backup.
Shiro now going up against Nora. And we know how the story goes. We've seen it happen yesterday. She was just gonna respect the fact that Esmeralda does well against the Uranus, but she still wants to cut that wave. Meanwhile, Indian forced to use the glorious pathway to get herself out of trouble.
Request backup.
Lightning Trojan coming up for the Cicilon. And they did an absolutely good job at isolating Good. The Panda with the wall and then the flame shot to push her back. And then that forces her into the path of Granger. Granger uses the Rhapsody. And that's going to be an easy kill for the South Yangon Galaticos. Good individual play coming out from Panda to secure that kill. Now, K is going to pick up the Blade of Despair. Panda's gonna pick up her longevity as well, so that's gonna provide more shield, which ironically will play into the hands of Nora because she's probably gonna eat all of that up. Look at the AoE damage coming up for Yangon Galaticos. And that's from afar. All they had was Panda right in front. Gonna start up the turtle right here while the rest of Impunity Pixies will have to make their way. A little bit too late, turtle already getting secure right there.
Initiate retreat. Initiate retreat.
Once again, a little bit.
Initiate retreat.
Taking a little bit too much damage from both the Sicilon and the Jawhead.
Launch attack.
And the reason that Impunity are finding a little bit of trouble with trying to find team fights is because they're just out of position. Miat now getting saved by Nora, who used the falling star moon, but they instantly back out. They know that Kay and Monica are around. Meanwhile, top lane, Uranus having a good fight against Gugu. One more spin should do the trick, but here comes the rest of Impunity. They're just gonna chase it to pieces. The tower's gonna allow Kimi to pick up that kill. Impunity Pixies find a slither of hope for the next team fight. Meanwhile, we got the mid lane already taken down. They should be able to get this one more hit. But Yangon Galaticos, they're not gonna be too greedy over there.
Initiate retreat.
You're here probably gonna go for endless battle while we've got Granger trying to complete the same thing right there. Mid lane, Kimi just trying to do her best to take down the creeps, but here we go, wild charge coming up, knocks out both. Digi used the reverse time, but it was a little bit too late. Now Nora in the middle of it all, and this is where the Asmorder will work really well out for Impunity Pixies. Top lane, Leomont will get down the Sicilon, but Nora still on the chase. Ruri though, a little bit too far away from the engagement. I can see Nora, she wants to re-engage. Gugu still has her steed, but I don't think they will be able to get anything more out of the fight. So 2 for 2 for both teams. And that does put a little bit of a dent on Yangon Galaticos' lead.
Initiate retreat.
Well, we saw a good team fight happen coming out from Impunity Pixies, right? You know, essentially they lost Inging earlier into the fight, and that has been the case for most team fights. I was just about to say, I feel like Inging's taking a little bit too much damage before the fight happens, forced to use the Glorious Pathway once again, even before the team fight. And in that case, I think if Miat used the shield a little bit earlier, that would have been good for her. They get the stun up onto Shiro. Shiro forced to use the ultimate. But Panda now once again with the good wall. Remember, that wall as well as the wild charge was what allowed them to take down the Hylos and Digi really early into the fight.
Request backup.
Necklace of Defiance coming up on Shiro to deal with the Asmorder. In a really good spot to catch someone out. Can they get the stun off to Monica? No, she doesn't.
Mega kill.
But they get the toss off, and Hylos nearly goes down. Although they did manage to find the Grok hidden in that brush. And now do they take the Lord? That is the question. Meanwhile, Asmar, they're gonna keep Uranus at bay, but Granger hidden right onto the bush. Good. Give the land right on him, but they managed to catch the Uranus out of position. But that Uranus is just so tanky, it's just so hard to bring him down.
Initiate retreat.
And Digi obviously with the auto alarm bomb to harass both the Sicilon and the Granger.
Initiate retreat.
And Digi is probably going to go for a little bit more defense. I feel like picking up the Winter Truncheon would be a good idea. I know it sounds weird, but the Winter Truncheon can actually help her with surviving the team fight, especially after using the time journey, and then just popping the Winter Truncheon, and while her team gets away, they can once members of Yangon Galaticos are put into the fight, because they see that the Diggy is isolated from the rest of the team. This is where the opening comes in for Nora to jump in with the Falling Star Moon. But as of now, Imiko trying to chase down Yingin, and they're looking for the re-engage.
Initiate retreat.
Shiro now on the run.
Request backup. Initiate retreat.
And she's just gonna use the Purifying right there to break out of the reverse time from Diggy. Myan taking a little bit of damage from the wall charge, but she should be fine. Now Shiro caught by the stun coming from Ingin, the wall to isolate her from the rest of the team, but looks like no one wants to follow up. And now they do catch the jaw hit, tries to go for the toss, but that was not good enough to keep herself alive. Now Panda could be the next target. The wall charge to bring the Diggy down, and the Glorious Pathway will get laid down, but they really lost the Kimi, and this is where Yangon Galaticos can take over the fight. However, it looks like they might want to make the Lord their priority. And that was a good catch up for me coming from Yangon Galaticos. You see members of Impunity just trying to run at Yangon Galaticos. They're trying to just get the kill, but they just caught a position. Once again, a wild charge coming up to stun up both the Esmeralda and the Hylos. I'm pretty sure the Hylos will go down right here. 42 seconds without the Hylos. Lord's gonna probably come up from the middle lane. Or it goes up on the top. Oh, they did a little bit of damage earlier with the Uranus. Now Yangon Galaticos is gonna start off with mid by clearing up those waves. And look at how quickly both the Granger as well as the Cicelon can clear it up the moment the wave comes in. And here comes the Lord. It's gonna do a Lord Rush. Gonna bring the tower down to half HP, and Cicelon with the Bad Fist. Instantly, they get the toss up onto the Hylos as well, onto the backline. Glorious Pathway being laid out, but it's a little bit too late. And now they're gonna try to catch the Leomon. Thankfully, the Glorious Pathway is there. Esmeralda being forced to use the Falling Star to get out of range. And Granger with the Death Sonata to start the fight. Maximum charge comes out from Ruri. But there is just damage lacking on the side of MLBB Pixies. I'm pretty sure this is going to be GG. The Crips are pushing in, and that's going to be game 1 going in the way of Yangon Galaticos. Good game though. Coming up from them, they essentially held on to the Trust and the Granger as well as the Cicelon to do the damage. And you can see in terms of team fight, when it comes down 5 on 5, I feel like Yangon. This is the reason why I said at the start of the draft that Yangon Galaticos did have a bit of more flexibility, because they do have enough damage. You can see in terms of itemizations, it's quite straightforward. They don't really have to pick up anything to deal with the lineup coming up from Impunity Pixies, because all they need to do is build the NOD on top of the Uranus, and that should do the trick. But in fact, both Uranus and Monica went for the NOD, so this shows that they know that the only true threat on the side of Impunity Pixies is essentially the Esmeralda, and if they can bring her down, or if you can isolate her from the team fight, then they should have enough damage to bring down, even if it's the Hylos, even if it's the Diggy, we would not have trouble with it. With that being said, congratulations Yangon. They pick up their first win, and we'll go for a break, but when we are back, bring you game 2 between Impunity Pixies and Yangon Galaticos. Well, welcome back to the FSL Mobile Legends Bang Bang edition for the Myanmar tournament. Remember, this is a one-off tournament. We will be holding our grand finals tomorrow, but before that, let's go on with the second semi-finals. In the first semi-finals, we already saw it being concluded with Reborn losing out. and that's gonna give
team
the
is
spot over to, I believe it's, hold on, yeah, I believe it's gonna be Tail of Vendetta. So Vendetta got through because they won Reborn, and then now we're gonna see the second finals between Impunity Pixies and Yangon Galaticos. Obviously, Yangon Galaticos walking away
Your team is
with game 1, and then we've got currently game 2 going on. Impunity Pixies, they banned out the Valor as well as the Sicilon, so they do recognize the threat coming up from Yangon Galaticos. You can see they're very I would say comfortable with fighting against the Marauder, and the strategy behind it is very simple, right? Essentially, what you want to do is isolate the Marauder, get her as far away as possible from the team fight, right? Let's just push her aside. Let's not deal with her. Let's try to focus on what we have in front of us with the Grengan and Cicero. We have a lot of burst damage. We have a lot of not only AoE but single target damage as well. So let's just take out the High Lords, and once the High Lords goes down, they do not have a front line. Even if Esmeralda comes in after the fight, we have enough damage because we've got NOD on the Uranus, we've got NOD on the Sicilon. We should be able to bring it down, and that's what they did coming into game 1. And now for game 2, they pick up the Grog Bruno as well as the Xbox, and then we've got Yangon Galaticos picking up the Halos as well as the Uranus, which I think is pretty good. So something really different coming out for game 1. They also, I think carry would be good choice here, right? Something to stretch through the tanks. The question is, can they protect the carry as compared to the first game where we saw the Kimi just being left alone for the most part, not being able to contribute to team fight. So that's where I think we're gonna have to look for it. They ban out the Claude as well as the Atlas, which I think is pretty decent bans. You know, heroes that can dive on the back line and, you know, wreak havoc. And then you also have the Claude getting banned out because of the speed of farming and how well he is doing the current meta. And they also pick up the Hylos and Uranus. I think Rengar is a good pick just to match the pacing of the Bruno. They need someone to dive onto the back. I think a Joy hit for them would be really good. You know, a sort of a hero that can dive on the back line, you know, target aim someone and then toss him backwards. And you know, Joy hit just does really well for Impunity Pixies because they can actually pick up they don't really have to run him as an off laner if they don't want to go for the 1-2-2. They can even go 1-3-1 and then have the Xbox and Joy hit as the separate off laners, you know, and then try to pick up maybe one more mage to support them in the mid lane, which I think if you look at the choices right now, Selena does really well for Pixies. So if I'm Pixies, this is the drop I would run. I will they ban out the Nana, which is good. I think they should pick up both the Selena as well as the Jaw hit. I think those two heroes will do really well for them. And then essentially try to catch out either the Granger. And whereas for Yangon Galaticos side, they do need a little bit of support for the Hylos because the Hylos is constantly getting I would say isolated from the rest of team fights. Even if he's the front line, they don't really have someone to follow up even after he's there soaking up the damage. She's essentially taking up damage that doesn't need to. It's unnecessary and it's just a waste of HP. So they need someone to follow up from there. So I think Uranus can do the job, but Uranus is gonna be split pushing for most of the part. They pick up the Leomord and Camille, which I think it's fine. I think Camilla is a really good support to have on some Impunity Pixies, but the Leomord should be able to contribute to team fights as well. I see the drop to turn run as quite similar to what I proposed for them, except for instead of the Selena, they want someone that can stick by the Grog, and Camille just does a good job of that. But Camille no longer has that movement speed, so I guess sitting on the Bruno would be a better choice. Young Galaticos, they pick up the final member of their lineup, which is going to be the Layla. I think Layla has worked really well for a couple of teams that have picked her up. We saw Reborn picking up as well, so I want to see how they can run it. Chao is going to be the addition to the team, which is really good. They can kind of kick the Leomord away with the Way of the Dragon if he gets a little bit too close to the Granger. So essentially it's kind of like a 4 protect 1 strat coming up for Yangon Galaticos, with the whole team just kind of revolving around that Granger.
Welcome to Mobile Legends! 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them! All troops deployed!
Now we are back with game 2 between Yangon Galaticos as well as Impunity Pixies. We're looking to see who's going to be the team that goes up against Tail of Vendetta in the grand finals. Remember, it's going to be a best of 5 as these teams battle it out to try to get themselves that 4K diamond.
Request backup.
Meanwhile, we've got Shiro pushing up onto the top lane.
Retreat.
Looks like they want to contest for this blue buff. Not only did they fail to get the blue buff, they might just lose the first buff, but here comes
Double kill.
the damage coming off the magic shockwave from Monica on this, and they get a double kill. Both kills going in the way of the Layla, which is always good to have on that mage. And she's essentially going to pop off really early with that. Look at that, she's already got the magic boots up. And Monica's looking to be a very scary player coming into the first half of the game. Well, at the first half of the fight, I felt like, you know, they might not have gotten blue buff. Then that magic shockwave just came through, and it just ripped the members of Impunity Pixies. Now, not the best stuff for Impunity Pixies, and the perfect one for Yangon Galaticos, but more importantly, can they hold on to this lead? Well, Shiro's already split pushing onto the bot lane.
Launch attack.
And she's doing a good job at you know, cutting the wave of proxy farming, making sure that, you know, Impunity Pixies are not able to defend that tier 1 turret. Meanwhile, Imiko on the opposite end trying to do the same thing, but they're gonna converge now onto the middle lane. So Imiko preparing for a team fight, and they might be able to catch out Ruby, but no, they decide to catch onto the Grog, the only one available for them. That's gonna be the flame shot coming up as well, coming up from the Lilia. Enough damage to bring the Grog down, and good timing on the team fight, because 15 more seconds and the Lord should come up. The glorious pathway allows them to catch up to Nora, even with the steed getting summoned by Nora.
Request backup.
Meanwhile, in the individual battle at the top lane, Shiro doing a good job extracting good.
Request backup.
And I don't think they will be able to get the kill here. If Shiro uses her ultimate, he should be able to walk right out of there. And that's going to give Yangon Galaticos the space to not only take the turtle, but probably push down the bottom turret at the same time. Yangon Galaticos doing a good job
Initiate retreat.
at splitting Pixies' attention across all 3 lanes.
Initiate retreat.
And the goal for Impunity Pixies now is just try to get the farm up onto Bruno, try to get the endless battle up ASAP, and hopefully that's gonna be enough damage. But good now. And the bottom, they drop the glorious pathway. They want to get this kill onto the Xbox, and despite not getting it, they still secure the tier 1 on the middle lane. They're gonna trade it for the bottom tier 1.
Launch attack.
And Yangon Galaticos is just constantly one step ahead of their opponents. You can see, despite losing the tier 1 bottom, they got both tier 1s on the top and the middle foot. They even nearly managed to get good.
Launch attack.
So really good trade coming up from Yangon Galaticos. And remember, they managed to win game 1, so they must be feeling pretty good right now. Team morale at the highest level, but now Monica gonna come to mid to try to defend. They get the slow on the Zin. Remember, she no longer has the extra movement speed on her second skill. I'm sure she's starting to feel that impact coming right through. Good, getting the kill onto Shiro. A little bit too greedy, but they definitely can afford it since they are in the lead. The wall not exactly perfect, but it does deter them from getting the tier 2 in the middle lane. Good job coming from Impunity Pixies. But can they defend their blue buff here? Yes, they can. They're gonna give it over to the Bruno. And K is already nearing that Blade of Despair. Clearing his her jungle wave. Should be able to get that Blade of Despair up pretty soon. This turtle will definitely secure it. Look at how quickly they can take it with the Uranus and the Rhapsody. Well, Camille's trying to come in. Camilla's just come in to steal it away, but a little bit too late. Last Insanity already used Rui with the crit coming through, getting the kill onto Uranus. They get the second kill onto the Hylos. But this is where YG will take up. Way of the Dragon comes up, kicks Xbox out of position. I'm gonna give a kill over to Monica, who's already 5-0 on this Lilia as I speak. She's got the glowing wand already up. And Imiko went for Blade of Haptosis as well. So every time she uses a skill, be it Shimpo or even the Chikundo, she will have more damage on the next attack. And not to mention, she has Will of the Dragon. So I think this is just a really good pickup coming up for Yangon Galaticos, a hero that Impunity don't really have an answer to other than the Purify on Ruri and Nora. And once again, they get the gank off the bot lane. Good being forced to use Last Insanity early into the team fight, but not being able to defend the tier 2 down in the middle. And they are already starting on the tier 2 and mid. Yangon Galaticos just steamrolling waves after waves. Beauty Pixies unable to defend that tier 2 down and mid, but Bruno did manage to push the top wave. So they did find a little bit of a farm there, did complete her endless battle.
Resurrecting soon. Initiate retreat.
Well, we're gonna see the Bloodlust Axe completed on both the Xbox and the Leobot now. Can they do something right here? Chikundo coming up, gonna knock up onto Zin. Panda gonna be using the Glorious Pathway as well to allow them to catch them up, while we got Grok just running away from the team fight. Good taking quite a bit of damage from the Lilia. They're gonna get the kill. They're probably gonna steal the red buff away, and now Brute Force armor coming up on the Uranus. That's gonna help with the movement speed as well as tanking up the damage coming up from Impunity. Well, they're gonna drag members of Impunity down the top lane while the rest of members are focusing on clearing up their wave. So they're trying to hit that timing before the Lord comes up. They want to get the buffs ASAP. And what Impunity Pixies need to do now is essentially get a gank in. And if you can get a gank out of Yangon Galaticos, they might be able to take a team fight. The issue is Impunity as a whole do not really have heroes that can gank really well. Like, yes, they have a lot of damage in the Bruno, they have damage on the Xbox, but they are heroes which you see coming, right? It's not like a Chow, it's not like a Uranus who has that burst damage and also have the surprise element of surprise when it comes down to ganking in bushes.
Initiate retreat.
That being said,
Request backup.
Impunity are behind 8k goal lead for Yangon Galaticos.
Launch attack. Initiate retreat. Lord
Looks like they want to force a fight before the Lord take.
Initiate retreat.
Well, he is standing in front of the members here. She's taking no damage as of now, but Shiro already pushing down onto the middle wave. Meanwhile, the rest of Yangon Galaticos already starting up on the Lord, half HP. And Panda as well as Chow are trying to keep the rest of Impunity away from the pit slot. They're doing a good job at it. And now if they want to take a fight, yes they can. Glorious Pathway being laid down and Xbox will get taken out instantly. They managed to get the leader out of the way. But good. Just surviving with little help while Zane will have to go down for it. But more importantly, Yangon Galaticos did manage to secure the Lord. You can see they're already making their way down into the middle lane. They should be able to secure this tier 3 in the middle. Last Insanity coming up onto the back line. That burst should be able to secure the kill onto Panda. And the Chow comes in with the Chikundo. But Shiro might be the second one to fall. They did manage to secure the tier 3 in the middle lane. And Yangon Galaticos will walk away with minimal casualties. Remember, they did not have Monica before the fight happened. So they will walk away with what they can get out of the fight. Well, a tier 3 isn't that bad after all. It is only a tier, the first lot. Shiro now gonna be cutting that wave. Just gonna power a little bit more pressure onto members of Impunity Pixies. And this is where Yangon Galaticos really ramp up in terms of aggression. They're just gonna camp right outside the base, cut every single wave that comes up, not allow Impunity Pixies to farm. And what this does is that it's gonna starve them out of the jungle farm. It's gonna starve them out of whatever resources they need to catch up in this fight. And even with the Ice dominance coming out on the Grok, if he can't really get to the Granger, which is constantly being which is constantly just so far away from the rest of the team, I think it really doesn't help with them. In fact, they need something that can get the stun off. I think the anti-Curse is what Grok really needs in this fight. And Last Insanity gonna come out onto the back line by the Xbox, nearly catches the Granger out, but now good in a lot of trouble. Chikundo coming up from the Chow to bring him down. That's gonna burn away one immortality charge. The ball just transferring in between both Monica and the Granger, which isn't ideal, but both of them are still alive. This is the most important fact. Is as long as they can keep both the Granger and Lily alive, Yangon Galaticos do not have to worry about the damage output. Okay, probably gonna go for the last item right now. And on top of all the damage that they have, it's not like Yangon Galaticos is gambling with this strength, because they have the black shoes onto Monica. They have immortality on it. They don't even have immortality, but they have just so much HP on their tanks. If you look at the Chow and the fact that they have a Uranus and a Hylos, And now Hylos picks up Queen's Wing as well, so that's going to help with sustaining in the fight. So they have a very stable front line. At the same time, they have a lot of damage on the back. And now Ying gonna check out the Lord, make sure that Yangon Galaticos are not starting up. But now they're chasing the Grog further and further away from the rest of the team. And they're probably gonna get the easy kill here. Death Sonata gonna get the kill onto the Grog. And without that front line, it looks like Yangon Galaticos can start up on the Lord right now. Immortality going to come up on Monica, so just to further emphasize on the fact that they want to keep her alive. She's already got that NOD for against the Xbox as well as the Leomod. Shiro just trying to be a nuisance and cut that wave coming out from Impunity Pixies, but looks like they want to force the end game right now. They're gonna commit 5 members down into mid. They managed to bring down good. Immortality being burned, and Glorious Pathway will allow them to charge onto the back line. Uranus just using the implosion onto the back. You've got them sticking right onto the Camilla, who also burns Immortality charge, and they try to force the end game. One more hit from the Granger should be able to do the job, but Bruno with the crit coming right through. They take down 3 members on the side. Yangon Galaticos, one more hit from the Lord, and somehow Impunity Pixies keep their throne alive. Although they did manage, or rather they did lose their tier 3 on the bot lane. Well, that was an intense fight coming through, and that was thanks to Camilla being able to pull off her skills before she got brought down. But that was a really good team fight, I gotta say, because if you look at the way the fight actually brought out, that was actually really scary, because initially both Xbox as well as Camilla had their Immortality getting burnt out, but then at the very last fight, you could see they got sucked into a fight they were not prepared for. Yangon Galaticos, they tried to force the issue, you know, Uranus going in with the implosion, and then you also had Lydia trying to force the fight with the magic shockwave, but there was just not enough damage, because if you look at Camilla, she's just gonna jump and use the ultimate curse of blood, and then, you know, try to stay in the fight as long as possible. And that was what really worked out for the side of Impunity Pixies. The fact that Camilla and Grog did manage to hold the front line as long as possible for Bruno to actually take down both Kay as well as Monica, who were in a really bad spot. And not to mention, that was a good knockup from Wild Charge, a good Wild Charge knockup coming in from Ying. And those split seconds of being knocked up was what allowed Ruri to, you know, do what she does best, which is just a lot of physical damage.
Initiate retreat.
And if you look at the itemizations coming up from the side of Yangon Galaticos, essentially only the Uranus has a Twilight armor, so she's practically the only person on the side of Yangon Galaticos that can soak up damage whatsoever coming off of the Bruno. But now Yangon Galaticos, they know their win condition. They already taken all 3 tier 3 turrets on the base. They're probably gonna go for the Lord pretty soon. It's gonna come up in about 3 seconds now. Meanwhile, you have the rest of Impunity Pixies trying to defend their base. those super minions can be quite a hassle to deal with, especially towards the late game. But now you got Yangon Galaticos. They have to give up the Lord. Glorious Pathway being laid down. Where is the follow-up? There it is. They can manage to isolate Good away, who's going to use Last Insanity onto the backline. Not enough damage to bring down anyone. And I'm pretty sure this is where Good will go down. Meanwhile, on the other fight, you've got Chow going down as well. So 1-for-1. Rui out of position. Shiro trying to stick right on top of the Bruno. And with Xbox out of the way, they should be able to resume their task of taking down the Lord. And this time around, it's Iggy who's once again trying to scout out the Lord. And I'm not sure if Panda did. Oh yes, Panda actually did manage to burn the Glorious Pathway. They get the stun up. And they get once again the kill onto Yingling. But at least Impunity Pixies managed to deter the Lord take coming up from Yangon Galaticos for a little bit. But that does buy them the time. And now Yangon Galaticos, they want to go for the back door right now. They get the kill right onto the ground earlier into the game. And now they get the kill on the Camilla. They're going to try to stick onto Nora right here, Chikundo. And not only that, the way of the dragon to kick him back. They burn the kill, but they burn the immortality charge onto the Hylos, but still they get the kill 40 seconds before both of them come up. And now Shiro already making the way into the mid. Bruno's gonna deal with him. One more hit from the Bruno, should be able to get the kill onto the Chow. And look at that crit damage. And one more hit, and Bruno gets taken out. A very greedy gameplay coming out from Yangon Galaticos, and Impunity Pixies punish them hard. Well, Shiro was doing a good job at staying in Impunity Pixies base, right? And she was basically trying to backdoor right there. But Impunity Pixies, they had none of it. They were just so focused on stopping the Lord take. And Yangon Galaticos was playing a little bit too greedy. They were trying to go for the kill onto the Xbox, onto the Leomon. And that just dragged them out of position. That left Ruri free up and ready to just go into the backline. And now it is Panda who will go down for that, despite having revitalized. But the good thing for Yangon Galaticos is even though they lost the Lord right there, Impunity Pixies still have to be really concerned with the backdoor potential coming out for Yangon Galaticos, right? They have the Uranus as Shiro's still able to cut off the wave. She's still able to do a backdoor, and that means that Yangon Galaticos cannot push with their full strength, because they have to leave a member of their lineup to defend against the Uranus push, and they're gonna get good to do that. Remember, this is the third Lord of the game, so he's gonna be pretty tanky. Well, they isolate Shiro from the rest of teammates with the wall. And they're not able to get much out of this Lord, but they do manage to get a tier 2 in the middle lane, which I think is not that bad. But now, can they get Gugut alive? Uranus just sticking up onto the Chikundo as well as the Shimpu. And that's gonna draw the Uranus right onto Gugut right there. Meanwhile, Gugut desperately trying to stay alive. And thankfully Shiro should be able to get out just in time before Impunity Pixies cut her escape off. Well, what looked like to be a done deal for Impunity Pixies, they managed to get a good fight with the misplay coming from Yangon Galaticos. And well, YG, they have to be very aware of this fact. Like, despite them having that, goal lead at the very start of the game. You can see it's already cut down to 2k. Every single member is now full build except for maybe the Camilla, who still has a mask, and maybe for the Lydia, who's trying to build into the final one. I'm sure Blood Wings is gonna be the final item that she's going for. Either that or maybe even a Genius Wand. I'm not sure. I think both are really viable items, although I would prefer her to go for the Genius Wand, which I think does provide a lot more utility, given that the Uranus also does magical damage, so it does help both of them if she picks it up. That being said, if she goes for Blood Wings, she has more burst damage, so I think both is really viable depending on what she wants to go for, like what is the motive of the last item. But Impunity Pixies, man, they have been holding on to this game for so long, 24 minutes now, and speaking of the goal lead, this is what I talked about. Yangon Galaticos, they had the lead cut down by so much because of that mistake. And now even Shiro might go down. They bring her down to little health. Good. Being forced to use Last Insanity. I'm not sure if that was timing where she wanted to use it. But 95 more seconds before the Lord comes up. And even for Imiko, who's already at full build, like, she has a very interesting role in the Yangon Galaticos lineup, right? Her role is just to make sure she can CC up anyone who's out of position, and then use Way of the Dragon to further isolate that member away from the rest of the team. And she's been doing a pretty good job, right? The catch onto Nora, she's caught out in a couple of times already, and even for good. And it looks like Panda will go for the Ice Dominance, just to slow down the attack speed of the Bruno and Leonwood. And remember, Ice Dominance slows down the movement speed as well, so that's one more reason why everyone should get Ice Dominance. It does stack, remember. So the more Ice Dominance there is on your team, the slower the opponent attacks and runs. Well, they're trying to catch Shiro out of position, but they leave the gap onto the backline, and damn, this is scary. Yangon Galaticos now, they're trying to force the end game. But here comes the rest of Impunity Pixies to get back just in time. They force the flicker out of Imiko. And that's going to be a child without flicker for the next 120 seconds, which has been their main mode of catching someone out. But at this point, both teams looking to be a bit hesitant at committing to a team fight. That being said, Yangon Galaticos do have super minions running down all three lanes of Impunity Pixies base. So Impunity Pixies, they cannot take this fight outside their base for too long, because those waves will start to push in. It's gonna give Yangon Galaticos the space needed to either take the Lord or even go for a backdoor. And now War Charge going to come out of Ing. Imiko with the Way of the Dragon. They bring the Xbox out of position, but the rest of the team are more concerned with the Uranus. And now Google in the middle of it all. Last Insanity being burned off. Still healthy. Revitalized being dropped. And now the High Loss. Where is the Glorious Pathway? There it is. It doesn't matter though. Ruby with the crit. He brings down 2 members in mortality. And now Zane in the middle of it all. Imiko gonna run away. And they've fought on for so long that even the second Last Insanity is blown up. But now they want to pick up the Xbox. Shumpo gonna allow him to catch out of position, and Grog's gonna sacrifice himself just to make sure that Xbox stays alive. But once again, they get the knocked up onto Ruby. I think Ruby's pretty much dead right here. And one more hit from Imiko. They do burn the immortality. Can they keep her alive? Yes, they can. But no Xbox and no Grog for the next 40 seconds. And Yangon Galaticos finally get what they came for. And that is the Lord. Ooh, that Lord swing nearly took... Okay. Man, the lot just does so much damage.
Initiate retreat.
I mean, there have been times in games where I know some of you guys are gonna laugh at this, but man, the lot just takes me out in the middle of a team fight, and that pisses me off so much. And it's just something that players absolutely hate. I think that's one feature of the lot which I absolutely love. I love it. It's a love-hate relationship between me and the lot, right?
Request backup. Initiate retreat.
And now Yangon Galaticos is looking to 5-man push down their way down in mid. They managed to isolate the Camilla away from the rest of the team. Xbox is gonna be not able to escape the Camilla, and even he is in trouble. Rest of the so much crit damage, and now Lot at half HP, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be GG. Yangon Galaticos, after a painstaking 30 minutes battle, finally get game 2, and they are your second semi-final, rather finalists. They're gonna go up against Tale of Vendetta, and those two will be in the grand finals. Wow, that was a really tough game, but congratulations to Yangon Galaticos. That was one heck of a team fight coming up from both ends. You could see that at the very final moment, there were a couple of times when Impunity Pixies had good team fights because of the greediness coming from Yangon Galaticos, but Yangon Galaticos were just way too far ahead in terms of net worth, in terms of the lane pressure, and I think the key thing that saved Yangon Galaticos in the final few team fights was because of the super minion waves. Because there are super minions on all 3 lanes of Impunity Pixies base, they couldn't really push out too far. They couldn't take team fights for too long outside the base because those super minions are just gonna push into the base, and there was always the Uranus backdoor threat that they had to be concerned with. So that just didn't really give them too much freedom in terms of taking team fights for too long. Even if they have sustained from the Camilla, even if they are able to pull Yangon Galaticos out of rotation, and they did that as well, which was what gave them that hope of coming back. But eventually at the end, the super minion waves were just too much to deal with, and Yangon Galaticos eventually got that very final lot, and that just gave them the opportunity to push into the base of Impunity Pixies. With that being said, congratulations to both Yangon Galaticos and Tale of Vendetta. They are your 2 grand finalists, and we will have the grand finals played out tomorrow. Remember, it's going to be a best of 5, as these 2 teams are already guaranteed 2k diamonds, but they are eyeing that grand prize of 4,000 diamonds for the grand finals, or rather the winners of the grand finals. And we're gonna go ahead and thank our official partners and sponsors. Big shout out to Dreamcore, Super Solid, and Yahoo for making this possible. Big shout out to the admins as well as our tournament lobby admins as well. They had so much to deal with. Big shout out to FSL for hosting this, and of course a big shout out to you viewers who have been watching all the way from the start to the end. My name is Aris. I had fun casting this, and remember to catch the finals for tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow at the very same time.